The story begins in African mercenary headquarters. An officer was briefing the soldiers on tonight's mission. Due to the nature of the mission, only a few soldiers were required. So only 5 squads, 49 of them in total, would be included, and the number of enemy soldiers was between 350 to 500 men. The mission was not to engage with them, just kill the target and retreat. The one who was leading the mission was none other than our protagonist. They had intruded 2 kilometers into the enemy territory and everything was going according to plan, but our protagonist had a premonition about this. His team member teases him for being on guard all the time when a bullet pierces through him. The enemy starts firing at them and they take cover. The enemies were using all the big guns from the start. Smithen knows he wouldn't survive this and told the captain to leave him. They were only a few meters away from their target, and they couldn't retreat with this many soldiers chasing them. So the captain decides to take out their target at least and charges forward. Just then, he gets sniped directly in the head. But the crazy part about this was that the bullet came from behind, meaning one of his squad members betrayed him and his squad. The enemy troops march forward while he was dying. He closes his eyes and hears someone calling him. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself in a hospital in Gangnam City, Korea. The doctor calls his guardians. He didn't know what was going on and why he was speaking Korean. No one could have survived that battle, so how was he still alive? He lashes out at the doctor, but he was shocked when he sees himself in the mirror. After a few days, he was discharged from the hospital. To summarize it all, before this, he was formerly the captain of a French mercenary troop. Kang Chen, 29 years old. He was carrying out a mission in Africa in 2016, and after getting shot, he woke up in another person's body in 2019, and surprisingly, his name was also Kang Chen. He was 19 years old senior high school student who fell from the rooftop of the school building and was in a coma for a few days. Of course, the one who woke up was not the same high school student. He arrives at his apartment and his mom keeps asking him if he remembers anything. The doctor had told them that he had lost his memory from the shock. He gets into his room and the first this he does, he searches for the battle that was going on in Africa, but he couldn't find anything on the internet. He gets a message from a guy in his class who was threatening to kill him for not reporting to him after getting discharged from the hospital. The guy keeps threatening him, but Chan ignores all his messages. So he calls him and orders Chan to come to the school if he didn't want to die. Kang gets annoyed and blocks him. The bully was pissed and throws his phone, saying he was going to make him pay the next time he comes to the school. After searching for too long, he couldn't find anything about the French war. He craves cigarettes and looks through his stuff to find some. While searching, he finds his notes and what he saw inside completely shook him from the inside. The notes were full of resentment towards the bully and his frustrations. He realizes that the owner of that body was being bullied. The next day, he goes to school and everyone was staring at him. He didn't know where his class was and was looking for someone to help him. Just then the bully comes there who was messaging him, lashes out at him for hanging up on him. Chan just laughs at him and asks him if he had a cigarette on him. The bully gets angry and takes him to the basketball court. He was showing his jabs to scare Chan, but as the bully was going to attack him, Chan attacks him first, and in just one punch, he falls to the ground. Chan was instinctively about to kill him, but he refrains from doing that. While he was leaving, the bully gets back up and attacks him. Due to his weak body, his punch wasn't enough to take care of him, so he starts beating him brutally. After he was done with him, he looks for his class when a girl greets him and takes him to the class. She was in the same class as he was. The bully was also in the same class and he kept staring at Chang the whole time. He messages his other friends to meet him. During the PE class, the bully takes him somewhere isolated, while Chan gets annoyed and regrets not killing him when he had the chance. The other bullies were there and mocked the first bully for getting beaten up by a nerd like him. Chan told them to attack him all at once as he didn't want to waste his time. One of them gets annoyed at his cocky attitude and attacks him, only to get slammed on the ground. He told them about his weak spots and assigns all of them where they should attack him. But their ego gets hurt instead, and they attack him randomly. Due to his new body, he had to face some inconvenience, but he beats all of them up in the end, except bully number 1. The bully apologizes to him and promises not to mess with him again, but Chan was still not convinced. Just then, he feels someone behind him. It was the PE teacher. Chan was wondering how could a mere teacher come this close to him without him noticing. The teacher advised him not to go further than that, otherwise, it wouldn't be considered self-defense. While Chan was leaving, the teacher asks him where he learned to fight like that, to which he replies from the internet. At home, his parents got the news of him fighting and were angry at him. When comes home, they see that he had changed his hairstyle. He goes straight to his room while his father was scolding him. He comes back with all the notes that the original owner of the body had left behind. When they saw the notes, they were shocked and couldn't stop crying. They have a talk and apologize to him for not knowing this sooner. Seeing them caring for him, he remembers his childhood, which was not quite normal. They were very poor and his drunk father was abusive towards him and his mother. While he was leaving, his father gets a call from France, and because of the language barrier, there was a huge miscommunication that cost his father 130 million won. Chan takes the call and talks directly to the man in charge in the French language. His parents were stunned to see him speak French so fluently. He resolves the issue and told them that he learned that from the internet. In his room, he was thinking of going back to France once his body was completely healed. But now he was a little hesitant thinking about the parents. The next day at school, the bully comes to mess with Chan again and told him to follow them. When he doesn't agree, they threaten to harm Myoung. He doesn't remember who Myoung was. She was the girl that sits next to him. When he remembers her, he agrees to follow them. On the rooftop of the school, there were many more delinquents, and a group of girls was also there. Chan told them to get out of there and one of them starts giving him attitude. Chan slaps her in front of everyone. The bully promises her to get back at him 10 times and she leaves after that. He doesn't see Myoung with them. Myoung had just entered the class. After realizing that they were lying to him, he starts to leave when they surround him. The bully said to him if he was scared and wanted to jump again. He realizes that these guys were there when the owner of his body jumped off the roof. He asks him if they were here that day, and the bully reveals he was the reason he had jumped before in the first place. He was scared and begged for his life and fell off the roof on his own. Chan was furious and his body starts to tremble in anger. The bully was also prepared this time. He had brought the strongest guy in their school district to fight him. The guy makes fun of him for being so tiny. He lets his guard down and Chan manages to take him down in just one strike to the face. The other bullies attack him as well. They were armed with weapons that high schoolers shouldn't have, like knives, spiky bats and all. But still, he defeats all of them. One of them attacks him with a knife, so he goes as far as breaking his arm. And now only Lee Hajin was remaining. As Chan was about to beat him, the pay teacher comes there and stops him. This time, Chan was sure that he was not just a normal pay teacher. After the bullies were gone, the teacher was scolding him. The teacher uses the same phrase that one of his team members, Daewoo, used to say. He suspects that there could be a chance that he went through the same thing. He tests it by attacking the teacher out of nowhere. The teacher and Chen were going toe-to-toe against each other. They both stop in the middle of the fight. The teacher was shocked to see how a high schooler could fight like that and asked him who he was. Chen answers him with the phrase he used to say, he was the god of Blackfield. The teacher was stunned to know that the person in front of him was his captain, the legend, the god of Blackfield. After that talk for some time about all the things that happened to them, we see Daera's side of the story, how he woke in someone else's body as a husband and a father, and how they helped him through it. Chan reveals that he was planning on going back to France to catch the traitor among them. Daewoo tries to stop him from going back to that hell, but he doesn't listen to him. Daewoo advised him that they should go there during the summer breaks. He also told him about the kids that he was fighting with, and how they were connected to gangsters. He goes to the nurse's office, making an excuse that he was sick. He suddenly gets up sensing someone coming to the office. It was the bully, who brought snacks for him as he was their leader now. Chan scolds him and he runs away. When school ends, Myoung was waiting for him. While they were leaving, the girl from the rooftop stops him and told him that someone wanted to meet him. But Chan ignores her, which pisses her official. Myoung want him to be careful of her because she sleeps with anyone. And while they were talking, we see some gangsters who were looking for him. They stop him to have a chat with him. Myoung asks her not to go, but he assures her that he would be fine. They said they just wanted to have a chat with him and told him to get inside the car. Chan doesn't agree to that, so one of them starts to mock his attitude. Chan gets his hands off of him, smacks him in the face, and slams him onto the ground. The other members attack him as well, even though Chan was dodging all their attacks and striking them back, due to the reason that they were full-grown adults and he had still the body of a teenager. It was getting hard for even him to fight back. When he started to overpower them, the boss intervenes and kicks him aside. He still wanted to just have a talk, but Chen doesn't care. So the main guy attacks him, and even though Chen blocks, he still receives damage from the sheer strength of the attack. Chen gets back at him and the others attack him as well. As the fight started to get intense, Myeong pretends to call the cops and they run away in their car. He sees that girl, Yunsul again, and advised her not to hang out with guys like those or she would get hurt badly one day. But she lashes out at him instead, who walks away while she kept screaming at him. The next day, some first year came to greet Shan and they hand him the weekly payment that they collected from the students. He scolds them and told them to return the money to the students. The PE teacher calls him to the counseling room. He asks him for a favor before he goes back to Africa. There were 4 students that were being severely bullied, so Daeru wanted him to help them out. At first, Chen denies it, saying once he was gone, the situation would get only worse. But Daeru made a deal with him that he would only have to attend 1 class. Chen agrees after that. While coming back to the class, he sees Yunsul waiting for him. She was covering her mouth and was injured here and there. Chen ignores her again and she yells at him saying it was his fault that she got into this mess and started crying. Chen takes her to the roof and she told him that those guys from yesterday had told her to get Chen. Otherwise, they would have injured Hojin and her family. They even threatened to sell her to the brothel. He told her to call those gangsters. She calls him and Chen takes the phone to speak to them himself. He told them that he would come to them on Monday, and if they don't agree to that, he was not gonna come at all. The boss gives the signal and they agree to it. While going back home, Myeong follows her along. She asks him if he was going out with Yunsul. He was surprised because that came out of nowhere. He denies it and asks her if she had a crush on him in a surprised voice. She thinks for a few seconds and agrees with him. He didn't know what to do. The next day at the weekend, he made an excuse to his mother that he was studying hard because it was his senior year, and went to hang out with Daeru somewhere isolated. They talk about how Daeru had gotten used to it and considered staying there himself. Shan told him that he was going to meet up with those gangsters, but he doesn't tell him the location where they were meeting, as he knows that he would follow him there behind his back. Shan orders him to stay out of this fight. Daeru advised him not to go and just let this slide, but Shan couldn't just let that slide. He arrives at his apartment and starts training to fight them. He could imagine the fights as if he was fighting them in real life. He could take down many of them at once, but due to his weak body, he would get stabbed and be defeated. His body was too weak to keep up with his speed and wondered if he was gonna even stand a chance against them. On the other hand, Myeong was waiting for Chen to reply to her back. The next day at the school gym, while Chen was training, Daeru asks him to let him help in this, but he refuses him. After he was done training, he goes outside where a car was waiting for him and he gets inside the car. The guy took him to their base where their boss welcomes him. He cuts to the chase and offers him to join their gang. Chen rudely told him to get his goons out of his school or he would beat the crap out of all of them. The boss gets pissed and his men attack him and the fight begins. On the one side was a whole gang, and on the other side was Chen, who wasn't even at his full potential yet. After he dealt with all of the goons in the room, the boss himself attacks him. He blocks his attack and takes him hostage. In the hall, he was shocked to see all his men. He threatens to snap their boss's neck if they come near him, but they don't care and attacked him. He was dodging all their attacks while taking the boss hostage. He was getting overpowered by them. The number 2 of the gang orders his man to kill him instead of trying to catch him. He smacks the number 2 in the face and lets go of the boss, and tries to get out of their grasp. But they were consistent and were attacking him continuously, not giving him any chance to relax. Although he was still taking down many of them, he was almost out of breath. And the same goes for the goons as well. As if this wasn't enough, some more guys from that gang also come there. Chen could tell that these guys were definitely stronger than the others, and they have also killed before. As they were about to attack him, they hear a crash behind them. A guy in the mask was standing behind them. One of them attacks the guy in the mask, whom he easily defeats. Chen was also wondering who he was, but seeing their fighting style, he realizes it was none other than Daeru. While he took care of the goons, the 2 attacked Chen. They were fast, even faster than Chen. Chen was getting stabbed many times while trying to look out for the other one. He had lost too much blood. The guy with the mark on his face attacks him straight, which was impassable to dodge. He gets a flashback from his past, and in the present, He had barely blocked the attack with his bare hands, and now it was time for him to fight back. He smacks the guy's face to his head, and just in the next punch, the guy was on the floor. The other guy was shocked to see that, and while he was distracted by it, Chen attacks him, making him unable to move with just one punch. He was now unable to control himself, and as he was about to kill him, Daeru stops him, and that brings him back to his senses. Shen gives the others a chance to leave if they didn't want to end up like them. They drop their weapon and get out of there. Shen falls to the ground all injured, unable to walk.